I had a 12-year period where, I just was, had a lot of problems with demons, my drug and alcohol abuse, uh, and in the book, it tells about my life story. And what I'm trying to get across to people is that, you know, no matter how far down in the bottom you go, you can survive and turn your life around and become successful. And want to let people know, no matter how tough everything gets, there's a way out, and that leads to a life that's very fulfilling.
Do you remember the first time you encountered a drink?
The first time, yeah, I sure do. It was called Morgan David 2020, Mad Dog 2020. It was tastes like grape juice.
Hmm.
And I was 13 years old, and we drank this stuff. It went down good, and I remember lying in bed and the room spinning. And so I was told that when a room starts spinning or something, I put one foot on the ground, and that's supposed to stop it. Well, that didn't work. So I got all down on all fours and laid down there for a while. And it didn't work either. I remember having to puke, and I didn't want to go to the bathroom because my parents were there. So I puked in my boot. And next morning, I'm washing my boot out and stuff. My mom's, "What are you doing to your boot?" I said, "Oh, I got some mud in them, just cleaning them up." So, yeah, that's the first time.
Wow, that is so hard. Being able to encounter that and then really try to stay away from that. I'm sure like you have to really like discipline yourself just like with wrestling, with training to try to tell yourself this is not healthy for me. This is not where I want to be. Any moments where you had to really tell yourself, I can't do this anymore? Was there a moment, was there a time, was there like a snap of a finger where you're like, I got to turn my life around. I got to stop this before this gets worse?
And the start of it was back, let's see, the start of it was I was drinking and taking a lot of pills and pain pills. I had 6 hip replacements on one side, uh, had a knee replacement, had neck fusion. Uh, but that was just an excuse, for the pain. I could get, painkillers, and, from the doctors. No, it wasn't enough. I started getting stuff that you couldn't buy at a pharmacy. Um, they, I, I was trying to quit, and I was taking Xanaxes and drinking, and so I was just going to ran out of stuff. I ran out of, so I was on the weekend, so I was trying to hold out till Monday morning, and I could go to the doctors. Well, I didn't know that you could OD from taking Xanaxes or and trying to detox from alcohol. And so I remember that I wait until Monday. I could go to the doctor and everything be good. Well, sometime over the weekend, went to the bathroom. I remember, and all of a sudden my legs wouldn't move. And so I couldn't move them at all. And I just fell. Luckily, I fell close to my phone and called my brother up. And my brother came over and helped me up. He couldn't get me up. I was 260 pounds. And so he called 911. They came, picked me up in an ambulance, and took me to the hospital. And nobody could figure out what was going on. And I didn't know to tell them that I was detoxing from alcohol and Xanax. And so, uh, anyway, they let me go after I was there a couple hours. I was able to walk. And so they gave me a prescription for Percocet and sent me home. Uh, and when I got home, I didn't even I took two Percocets, and my brother left. And he comes back a day or two later, and I'm still in bed. The food that he had bought me to eat was still sitting there. The pills were on the table. Only 2 pills were missing out of it. And he comes in the bedroom. He says, Daniel, what's on? And I said, I got a hole in my head. He said, what do you mean you got a hole in your head? And he pulled back the blankets, and yeah, my 45 was there, cocked and locked and loaded.
Mm.
And he called another ambulance. They came to pick me up. And I started hallucinating and going through seizures and stuff. Uh, they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And I escaped. I was out in the parking lot, escaped from intensive care. And I was out there looking for cigarettes. I'm in a hospital gown with blood coming out of both arms where I ripped up the IVs. So they got me back in. I escaped again for the second time, running around. My hair was long, I had a beard, 260 pounds, guy running around half naked looking for cigarettes in the parking lot. So the next thing I remember, I wake up, tied down, and there's this group of men in a circle. And my good friend Scott McGee, who was also a wrestler, and they were laying hands on me, praying and stuff, because they thought I was gone. And anyway, I recovered from that. Um, you know, the way I recovered is a girlfriend of mine who was a nurse who showed up at the hospital, and she ended up telling them what I had been taking, and she knew that Xanax would cause this kind of problem, and the alcohol, and so when the doctors found out what was going on for real, I became to come back around. Uh, During that time, my brother was talking to New York, the WWE, and talking. They had a program. They started a program. If you were ever under contract with WWE, that they would send you to rehab. So I'd already been to rehab a couple of times. They sent me, but this time they were really worried. My brothers, because they thought I had brain damage. So I need. They figured I needed more help than just go to a rehab facility. So my brother was talking to Ann. Ann Gordon was in charge of the getting the guys in treatment, and so she didn't know if they would take care of me again because they already sent me a couple of times. And her boss was John Laurinaitis. And John Laurinaitis and I were tag team partners over in Japan, did several tours over there. And so John told her to take care of me. And decided the best place for me to go was a pretty famous mental hospital. And they handled, alcohol and drug cases. And they sent me out to Houston, a place called the Menninger Clinic. And so I was there for a while, and something came over me while I was there. I realized that, I could fix all the wrongdoing I've been doing over 40 years of one drug to another, and so that was kind of where I changed my life. I decided I wanted to help other people and help other people get sobriety. The way, hopefully not as bad as I went through and everything, but to help them and let them know that there's a way out. And the way out is through continuous sobriety.
Yeah, addictions can be very hard to break, and it takes a lot of discipline and self control to overcome it. And for you, Dan, what was the one thing you learned during all this that has kept you going, like guarded, so that you have not gone down that same path that you went down on when you were younger?
Some people don't. It doesn't really give them a choice because addiction is very powerful. I mean, if you're addicted, you just can't. You know, I couldn't do it on my own, and I don't think most people can. You have to find a reason, and the reason was that, you know, I couldn't keep continuing on living the way that I was living, and didn't want to do it. And the purpose of me getting sober was all about that I could change uh, the way people looked at it, and show them the way in which we need to take care of your problem.
Yeah.